Hey guys, Gary here. Thanks for checking in today. So I wanted to make like a series about things that I could get out of the way on a video before you come to class. And so I thought I'd talk about malfunctions. We'll talk about 3 major types of malfunctions. So this is your first video in a series of things to know before you come to class. I mean, we go over them in class, but if you can get a head start, by all means, let's do so. Or maybe it's I'll show you a way different than you normally do it. You might like it better. So first thing we're going to talk about is the type 1 malfunction, aka the failure to fire. Most of the time that this happens, it is because you are using Remington ammunition. Although Remington ammo does suck. No, really, most of the time it happens because your magazine isn't all the way in the gun. So if you put a magazine in the gun and it doesn't go all the way in, try and get that to stay out there a little bit, and then you like drop the little doober, and then you go to fire the gun, it goes click. Snap cap, so it's going click anyway. But as you can see, magazine will come out and nothing will eject because it didn't actually pick anything up. So you can simulate this, practice it with snap caps yourself, or some Remington ammo. But so we'll load a snap cap in. If I'm shooting and I'm expecting a bang and I get click, I'm going to move my feet. Bah! Oh. I guess for the purposes of the video, I'll omit the moving my feet. But anytime you're doing something other than the shooting, your feet should be doing the moving. Unless you're behind a solid piece of cover, in which case then you'll move behind the cover to fix it. So let's get back to what we're doing. So we'll start that over. Alright, so if I'm getting ready to shoot, I'm expecting a bang and I get click. To fix it, I'm going to bring that gun back up in front of my face. Why? Because shit's easier to fix up here. And if I fix it down here, guess where my head goes? And if I've got a gun out and I'm pointing it at people, I'm pretty sure there's nothing happening down around my crotch I should be looking at. I should be looking around what's going on around me. So I'm going to bring that gun back in front of me. If you have to trick yourself, look at your target through your trigger guard. That'll force you to keep the gun up in front of you. That will force you to keep your head up. That's what we're looking for, keeping your head up. So bring that gun up in front of me. I'm going to tap the magazine to make sure it goes all the way in. Like I said, that's most likely the reason it didn't fire. Then I'm just going to reach over the top. I'm going to grab a bunch of fucking slide with my fingers. I'm going to make sure not to cover the ejection port. That's why I'm going all the way to the back. And then I'm going to rack it as hard as I can. I promise, you can't rack it harder than the gun racks itself when you fire it. If you have a hard time racking it because you're a small stature, elderly woman, something like that, even just a young woman, you can push with this hand and pull with this hand. Once I've done that, I'm just going to reacquire my grip, get back on the target, and shoot. That's it. Let's do that live. I'm going to take this magazine out, put one in. This one is alternating snap caps and live ammunition. So I'm going to aim at my bad guy. You get the idea. Next one we're going to talk about, the type 2 malfunction, the stovepipe. So usually what causes a stovepipe is you're shooting in 1911. But a couple different things can cause a stovepipe, but we're going to fix it exactly like we fixed the type 1. So I'm going to set a couple stovepipes up. So I'm just going to break this open, grab a piece of empty brass, and give you my stovepipe. See, that's why they call it a stovepipe. Kind of looks like a stovepipe. So I've been shooting a gun, pow, 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 pow. And then I get this. Click. Nothing. Dead trigger. I've seen some guns actually click when that happens. But I know you're saying, well, you know it's a stovepipe. You can see it. It's in front of the sights. However, I've seen dozens of dudes in force-on-force encounters aim that gun with a stovepipe. They've been shooting clap, pop, 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 and it gets a stovepipe, and they're fucking rah, 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 rah. I said, aren't you looking at your sights? Yes. How? It's blocked by a piece of brass. They still didn't notice it because they were really focused on the target. So it is possible to have a stovepipe like this in your sight picture and still not notice it. I know, we're all super cool commandos and we would notice it, but I'm telling you, I've seen it happen. So, I get nothing. I'm gonna bring the gun back in front of me like I did before. I'm gonna tap the magazine because maybe it was a failure to fire. Maybe it was a stovepipe. I don't know. I don't fucking care, and I'm not diagnosing it. That's what an armorer is for, to diagnose shit. I'm gonna reach over the top. I'm gonna run the slide, and I'm gonna get back on the target. All right, how about I set another one of those up? You may also see a stovepipe that looks like that coming out the side. Ho ho, Gary, then you might not see it in your sight picture. You're right, you may not. You may aim in at the target and try to shoot it, and nothing happens. I know you're gonna say, well, maybe I'll see it sticking out the side. Maybe it's fucking dark. And maybe you're still looking too much at the target and not enough at your sights. I know, nobody does that that's watching this video. Anyway, so if it's on the coming out the side, we're gonna do the same thing. We aim in at the target, nothing happens, bring it in front of my face, tap it, rack it, put it back in front of the target. Let's set up a third type. This is the inline stovepipe. Nothing sticks up. This is why we don't fucking sweep it out of the way. Oh, we diagnose it, get a flashlight, and go, oh, it's a stovepipe, we better sweep. When everybody else has already tapped, racked, and shot 10 more rounds. Anyway, the reason we don't sweep is because to sweep you'd have to diagnose. But second reason is, if it's this stovepipe, you can do this all day long. Nothing's gonna happen. Now I set this one up with the rim facing forward. If it was the other way, which when you get it inline, sometimes it's one way, sometimes it's the other, it's like a 50-50 chance, math and shit. And you start doing this, all that's gonna do is start scooping off pieces of your palm to fill up that brass with. So you've swept it 50 times, the gun doesn't work, you're cut, and now it's covered in blood. Yeah, let's go with the sweep. So, same thing, I put it in there, I get nothing, tap it, rack it, and continue on. Whether you have a type 1 or type 2, basically what I'm saying is, if the gun doesn't shoot, we're gonna tap it, we're gonna rack it, and then we're gonna get back in the fight. So, funny side story. You guys ever seen sights where they're ramped all the way up? They don't have like a nice ledge like these big dots do. Those were invented for the FBI because they taught. Diagnose the gun, get out the flashlight, check to see what the problem is, put the flashlight away, and sweep it. And when they would practice that on the range, the little sights cut their little palms. Mostly because they're office workers and they don't actually do shit for a living. You know, have man hands. They probably don't like stippling either. So they had sights made with a ramp. Now you can't use the sight to manipulate the gun one-handed to rack it, but your little boo-boo hands don't get hurt when you're trying to sweep, which is a fucking stupid technique anyway.